You've clicked the right video because I've seen all the movies that Marvel and DC have released in 2025, and here's the deal. We're gonna rank them from worst to best. We're talking Superman, Fantastic Four First Steps, Thunderbolts, and Captain America Brave New World. And make sure you stick around to the very end of the video to see if your favorite movie from these two studios made the #1 spot. Let's get started. And coming in last place is Captain America Brave New World. Look, I wanted to like this movie. I really did. I like Sam Wilson as a character. I think his story arc is so cool. He was Captain America's sidekick as the Falcon, and now he's Captain America with wings. I mean, the possibilities are endless there. But then someone, or maybe it was a group of them, I don't know, was like, hey, yes, we can focus on Sam Wilson. We can focus on the new Captain America and make audiences love him and make him the new leader of the team going forward. Or hear me out. We do a sequel to The Incredible Hulk, the 2008 Incredible Hulk movie. And that's the movie that we got. Sam Wilson was sidelined for other characters like Thunderbolt Ross becoming the Red Hulk. Something tells me that Marvel knew that this movie was not going to be good. So they decided to just plaster the Red Hulk all over the marketing, the posters, the trailers, everything. How rewarding would it have been if there was a build-up to the Red Hulk at the very end and no one knew about it? It wasn't in the marketing or anything like that. It would have been so nice. But because they built this expectation that we were gonna get Sam Wilson versus the Red Hulk, they focused on the Red Hulk the whole time, bad move there, but then we get that fight for 10 minutes at the very end, and it ends so lackluster. What was the point of this movie? Sam Wilson goes through the same exact story arc that he did in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the TV show. So if you watch the show, you weren't rewarded. Nothing changed. You could have gone into this movie cold and would have got the same exact storyline of him doubting himself, becoming Captain America. Does he deserve to carry the shield? We already did that. Why are we doing it again here? And why is he sidelined? As you can see, not a big fan of this movie. Lots of faults, and that was just me getting started. I'm not even gonna go into all of it. But on one positive note, when he's flying, the aerial combat scenes, really cool. That's it. That's all I got. Coming in at number 3 is Fantastic Four First Steps. The bar for this movie was low. If I'm being real, it just was, because the state of the MCU was so inconsistent. We get hit, we get miss, we get hit, we get miss. What are we gonna get with this? We don't know. But then you look back on the other Fantastic Four movies and they were campy, they were fun, they were very early 2000s, which wasn't a bad thing, it wasn't a good thing, they were just kind of there. But this movie, this is by far, hands down, the best Fantastic Four movie we have ever gotten. And I think the biggest thing that this movie has going for it is the family dynamic. You really grow to love these characters, the 4 main characters in the Fantastic Four, and you really see how they care about each other. And if you zoom out and just look at comic book movies or superhero movies and the other groups like the Thunderbolts, the Avengers, Justice League, and however many others, you never get the sense that these characters would do anything for the other person. You get that in Fantastic Four. That's the thing that drives the entire movie. I love the dynamic that this person can have a certain relationship and feel a certain way about the other person, and it's not one cohesive thing, but at the same time it is. It's such a weird thing, but it was really rewarding to see on the big screen, and it's something that I realized when I was watching it that we don't really get often in these kind of movies where all these characters are crossing over into other movies. So they know each other, but there's never that chemistry that you get with this one. And the score in this movie might be the best score in the entire MCU. It's gonna be iconic, you're gonna hear it, and you're gonna go back to the scenes that were in this movie that were just so intense that the score just cranked it up to 13. It's gonna become iconic. You think of other big movies like Jurassic Park, you think of even The Dark Knight, we'll use the same genre, The Dark Knight. You hear the Dark Knight theme, your mind goes to The Dark Knight. That's what's gonna happen here when you hear this theme again, years down the road. There's so much to like about it, and it was my favorite part of the movie. Just hands down, the score was great. Now the reason that it's number 3 on my list is because the middle of the movie loses all momentum. It loses all the steam, and I just really kind of fell out of what they were going for. Once I realized what the plot was, I was like, oh, it's kind of simple, which isn't a bad thing. I do like simple stories, and I just like to focus on the characters, and that's what this movie did, but it just loses all momentum in the middle of the movie, and then the big payoff when they fight Galactus and how they beat Galactus, it just didn't have that payoff of this huge buildup, because the entire movie is built around the final showdown with Galactus, and it just didn't really hit for me. And I just think that because of the shortcomings of the middle and the back half of the movie for me, it made it, instead of it being a top tier MCU movie, the shortcomings that I had with the movie brought it down to kind of the middle ground. If you took all of the mediocre to pretty good movies in the MCU, I would put this right at the top. maybe almost into the next tier. That's where I would put Fantastic Four First Steps. Kind of disappointing, but at the same time, I really dug a lot of the scenes, especially the space scene, where they find Galactus and they're on their way back. Hands down, one of the coolest scenes in the MCU. Now, before we get to the runner-up on this list, make sure you drop your list down in the comments of these movies ranked from worst to best. I cannot wait to see what other people think. And coming in at number 2 is Thunderbolts. Wow. First off, wow, this movie was an underdog. This movie had no business being as good as it was because it was kind of a shock to go into this movie thinking, okay, we're gonna get the same formula that we get with all of the MCU, the DC, just comic book movies in general. No. Really early on into the movie, you start to learn about these characters and they're not good, they don't like each other, and that's okay. But because of their personalities, you're interested. You're kind of interested in how they all get along. And then as the movie goes along, you learn more about them. And hey, yes, they're villains. Yes, they were villains in the past, but they're actually decent people. At the core of everything, they're decent people. And when that happens, it makes it so relatable to the audience. Because we're not perfect. No one's perfect. But when you go and see these comic book movies and these heroes are perfect and they're doing perfect things and people love them and there's not a second guessing what they're gonna do right or wrong, but then you have this group of characters that do exactly what a lot of us would do. That's just the reality of it. But it makes it so authentic. And it just really drew me in because of all of that. And it just made it relatable and it made it okay to be relatable to them. And there was just a really deep message in this movie that I was not expecting. Starts off with all the same tropes that Marvel has, but then it slowly turns into something completely unexpected, unique, and different, and just everything that you would need in a Marvel movie at this time in the world, because Marvel was running stale with their ideas. It's just the same rinse and repeat thing. This thing came out of nowhere, gave us great fight scenes, great characters, and great likable characters, and just great dynamics and a deep, deep message for everyone watching. And one of the big reasons I want to see Avengers Doomsday is because of the Thunderbolts. I want to see Red Guardian interact with anybody else outside of the Thunderbolts. What he says, what happens, that's gonna be insane. And the number 1 movie on my list is Superman. James Gunn had his work cut out for him with this because traditionally, the Superman movies are kind of all over the place. Fans love a lot of them and fans hate a lot of them. So he has work cut out for him, but in the end, he gave us a movie where he just throws us in the deep end of the pool into a world filled with superheroes that's already established. And while I could see a lot of people not liking that because they want that origin story and they want to know, they want to be spoon-fed what's going on. Now, while it's not a bad thing, that's just how some people prefer their movies, and that's completely fine. I think that works for a lot of things. Somehow he took this universe, this movie, this character, and gave us a cohesive story that moved at a very brisk pace, and that's good and bad. But he gave us so much more to look at, to analyze, to ask questions about, and that's what's gonna carry everybody that really liked this movie into the future of the DCU. Now going into this, I never thought I'd want this. I want a Mr. Terrific show, a movie, I don't care, just give me more of that character. And then you have Jimmy Olsen, someone who not in a million years that I would say, hey, I need more of that character specifically. I need more of Jimmy Olsen. That's just what it is. And did you notice that I'm not even talking about Superman? I'm talking about everything around Superman in this movie was fantastic. The character of Superman, the character of Clark Kent, I need to see more of him at the Daily Planet, where he gave us a little bit of that. I wish we got a little bit more, but that's okay. Because now we get to see more of him in the future and they can zero in on that and give us something more to look forward to. But as far as Superman himself, I love this iteration. I love that he wasn't overpowered. I love that he got his face broken in almost every scene because it made him more relatable. Superman, I mean, if Superman is just blasting people left and right, just plowing through everything that is thrown at him, that's boring, that's not relatable. But this version of Superman gave us something to relate to. Whether that's his power of him getting beaten by other people, whether that's him being conflicted with who does he help, what's right, what's wrong. He tried to stop a war, but now people are saying that's not the right thing to do. So he's having this conflicting thoughts, and it's just, there's a lot of humanity to this movie. And it's a movie that gives you a lot of hope when you leave the theater. For whatever reason that may be. I left the theater hopeful, and I didn't even really know why. Like, it was a happy movie, it had a good ending, but I just felt good after leaving the theater. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Superman is a perfect movie because I know that it's not. It has flaws, I have flaws with it, But at the end of the day, it does so much right. It's so much fun, it's a great feel-good movie, it has a good narrative, and it makes me excited for what's coming next, and I think that's the whole point of these movies. And if you want more of a deep dive into the MCU and the DCU and really just who has a brighter future, make sure you check this video out right here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.